Hello, everybody. Listen, have you ever wondered what happens to you behind your back? Have you ever felt a few knives in your back and wonder who in the world is administrating that pain? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about the Social Security insecurity system, rather, and I'm going to show you that there's some knives that's been put in your back that you are probably not aware of, and it started when you was a little bitty baby. That's right. There are millions of dollars in an account that belong to you, and you don't even know how to get it, and you don't even know that it's your money. So let me talk to you today about the social insecurity system. It started when you was a child. I'm sitting here looking right now at my daughter Ebony and my daughter Ebony's birth certificate for my ninth grandchild, Jedi, who just made a year old. And I'm sitting here looking at the birth certificate. And when Ebony had this baby, had Jedi, ninth grandchild, I'm sitting here looking at where she signed. It doesn't have the signature of Chris, the daddy. It doesn't have a signature on it. It has Chris's name on it. But it does have my daughter Ebony on here. And it also has her as the mother. But above her name, it has her as the informant. I'm like, the informant? The informant for what? Then right to the side, it says, listen, it says parents authorize release of information to the Social Security Administration to issue this child a Social Security number. And it has the mother as the informant. So I got a question for you, for all my mothers. When you signed your child's birth certificate, did you realize that it was not recording a birth? Did you realize that it was what? The signing over of your child to the state and creating this fictional person that we all exercise by in the marketplace. That's right. There are millions of dollars that was created by your social security number when you were born. In fact, $1 million for everybody. When you were born, you had $1 billion worth of money in a social security account, but you don't know nothing about it because nobody talks about this, or very few people talk about it. But I stopped by to let you know today that it's becoming everyday information. We are talking about this all over the country now. This is not a secret anymore. This is something that's coming out, and you're going to find out about it. It's going to be the new norm for you to become the trustee of your own social security number. They just sent me a package the other day because I just made 62, saying, congratulations, your social security benefits. It was so small, I needed a magnifying glass to look at this check. I'm like, no wonder people die a year after they retire. They look at that little bitty check and either drop dead or what? You're in Walmart talking about how you doing today? Can I check your receipt? Can I check your receipt, please? That's what Social Security end up having you. Why? Because it's not secure. It's insecure. Now it's made a lot of people secure, but the people that it's made secure, you don't even know it because it's happening what? Behind your back. Why? Your mother didn't know she was an informant when you were born. I mean, who would have did that to their child? Nobody would have. She didn't even realize when she signed it. I got to ask you a question. If you're a mother, you signed a birth certificate, right? And you didn't pay no attention to what you signed. Of course you didn't. You would have questioned that. You would have been like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And what is with this informant box right here? All right. Can you explain that to me too? What am I informing somebody of? Who who am I an informant for? You know what an informant is, right? That's somebody who tells you a crime has been committed, right? And they're like, okay, so what crime is being committed over here? Well, the crime that's being committed is the fact that you just signed your child over to the state. So you say, what do you mean, Ricky? See, when you're born, you become what they call what's known as a straw man. You say, what is that? That means that you become an artificial person or artificial corporation, and that's the way to deal with you in the marketplace. That's why you can get taxed the way you get taxed. That's why you get treated the way you get treated, because you don't have what? You don't have the status of being a whole person. So I'm going to talk to you about how to get that status in a little bit and tell you that we can help you with that. But first, let me explain to you who you are unless you've already changed your status. All right. So who you are, if you have not changed your status, is you are a flesh and blood person that's walking around with an artificial name that's been given to you. And therefore, people can do what? And manipulate the system and manipulate your name and your status that you've been given. So when your mother signed this thing, this birth certificate thing that Ebony just signed with my ninth child, just signed over to the state. She ain't know no better. Okay, it's okay. We're gonna straighten that out. All right. And I'm gonna show you how to straighten your situation out too. But when she signed this birth certificate, it said that the state has equitable interest in Jedi, my ninth grandbaby. And when your mother signed yours, it meant that the state has equitable interest in you. Your mother only has legal interest in you when you're a child. You say, what does that mean? That means that the state can come into your house and DCFS can come up in your crib and they can take your kids when they want to and say why, because they have the equitable state in your child. You say, what do you mean? Well, let me explain it to you this way. You buy a car, right? And you go to the BMV so that you can get some tags so that you can't drive your car if you don't want to get no ticket, right? So you go to the BMV. You said, I want to register my car. What? With the state. So now you register your car with the state. Now the state has equitable interest in your car, and you only have legal interest in it. You're like, what do you mean, Ricky? I only have legal interest in my car. Park that car someplace where the state say it ain't supposed to be parked. And what happens? They come and tow it. Why do they have the right to come tow your car? Because they have equitable title to your car. You only have legal title to your car. It's the same way with your life. Unless you change your status, you don't have legal title to your life. You only have legal title to your life. You don't have equitable title to your life, which is why you can't move around in the marketplace with the freedom you're supposed to have because you've been signed over to the state. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? You're like, picking it up, Brother Rick, but it's painful. That's right. Why? Because you didn't know. It was happening to you what? Behind your back. Backstabbers, they smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place. The what? Backstabbers. So what? That's the state. Some backstabbers. That's right. They ain't tell your mama nothing about what she was signing. That's a backstabber. Only somebody who would stab you in the back would have you signing papers you don't know. So, that's fraudulent, right? Absolutely fraudulent for somebody to give you a social security number and you don't even know what it means. And you got $1 million in it when you were born and you don't have no idea how to get it out. All right. So somebody asked me out there, how do I get it out, Brother Rick? Glad you asked. Okay. So it's two ways to overcome this. The first way is just to simply change your status. You say, how do you do that? You get your birth certificate authenticated. You send it in to people who know how to change the status like we do, and then we'll help you to be able to become a real whole person. That means that you'll be able to move around in the marketplace and won't be getting whacked and whacked and whacked with taxes the way people do who are what? An artificial person. All right. So that's one way. The second way that you can get your status is that you can open up a private trust. All right. And so when you open up a private trust, what happens is that instead of you getting taxed based on your social, you get taxed based on your EIN, which means that your EIN is a tax-free EIN, which means that what? You'll be free from the taxation of everything that you write out of that trust because you can write off everything. You say, what do you mean, Brother Ricky? I mean, you can write off your car. That's right. You can write off your water bill, your gas bill, your light bill. That's right. Your gas mileage. You can write off everything that you normally won't be getting no write-offs for. Why? Because you're not private. You're public. Okay. And so the way to do that is to be able to get a private EIN with a private trust. And then you can be able to do what? You can write off as many things as you can. So let's say you make $100,000 this year. And you say, man, Ricky, I'm about to pay $25,000 in taxes. That's right. Because why? Right. All right. Let me help you out. Oh, let me help pull that knife out your back. All right. So how do you do that? Well, let's say that you open up a private trust. So you open up a private trust, and now you start writing you change your bills into your trust name. So now the trust owns everything. You don't own it. That's why I wrote this book. All right. Control everything, own nothing. Control everything, own nothing. You see how little this book is? You'll be done reading this book in about an hour and a half, and you can start your freedom ride. You get that knife out your back. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay, so you get a tax-free EIN. All right, you attach it to your private trust, and now you start buying things and paying for things out of your trust. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that you got this private trust. You go to get a car. Okay, so you say, listen, I'm going to lease a car. So they said, okay. You said, cool. You say, I want you, the person that run this car dealership, to give me a W-9 so I can write off my down payment for this lease. So let's say your down payment is $10,000. That's a write-off now. Now you ain't never wrote off no payment for no car. All right. You've been buying cars all your life, and the only write-off you get is they take your money right off the top. You hear what I'm saying? Why? Because they got them knives in your bag. All right. What they do. All right. So now you're at the car dealership. And you say, listen, I want to lease this car. So the car dealer's like, cool. All right. You say, I want to put $10,000 down. They're like, all right, great. You say, but listen, the trust is going to be the first buyer, and I'm going to be the second buyer. So they say, what do you mean by that? That means that the car is going to be in the name of the trust, but I'm going to back it up with my good credit. You said, you dropped me off there, Rick, because my credit tore up from the flow up. Well, that's your problem. Okay. And we can help you fix that too. I got a credit academy for that. All right. Just go to info@stellarwealthmanagement.com, info@stellarwealthmanagement.com, and request what? To have a free scan of your credit report so we can tell you what's going on. And then we can help you with that. Why? Because my credit used to be 500. Yeah, it used to be, but now I'm large and in charge. I got one more nugget for you too on that credit. Go to rentreporters.com, rentreporters.com if you're renting a place, and then they'll call your landlord and they'll ask your landlord, have you been paying your rent? And then your landlord tell them yes, and your score. That popped my score by itself almost 100 points. I'm telling you, you walk different, boy. You walk in like, shit. I know. That credit score go up. Hallelujah. All right, let's get back. So you're at the car dealership. So you tell the person, you say, listen, I want to buy this car. I want to lease this car, but I want to lease it in the name of my trust. And I'm going to be what? The second buyer. I mean, in other words, you're going to use my credit initially, but the trust is going to pay for the car. So what happens? That means that the trust are paying for the car note every month, and your trust is building up an amazing amount of credit. But more importantly, you write off every single car note payment. Are you hear what I'm saying? So the car ain't costing you nothing because you're writing off the payment every single month because you're paying for it out of the trust. The trust owns the car, not you. The tags are made out to the trust, not you. The state ain't got no legal title to your car. All right. They ain't got no equitable interest in your car because your car is not up under the state's chart. The tags up under the trust. They're not up under the state. So the state ain't got the same power over your car or over you that they have over somebody who got them knives in their back. All right. So that's the first part. So you wrote off your $10,000 down payment for your lease. You wrote off your payments to say that $1,000 a month. So you write off $1,000 a month worth of payments. Car ain't costing you nothing. Why? Because it's reducing your taxable income down because you're operating in the private. You're not operating in the public. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So now you got $10,000 worth of write-offs, another $12,000 worth of write-offs. So now you got to get some insurance, right? So you get some insurance for the car. Who do you get the insurance? The name of the insurance in? Not your name. You get the name of the insurance and the name of the trust. So now you write off the insurance payments every single month. The amount of money that you paid down for the insurance and the amount of money that you pay for the insurance every month. Do you understand why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Why? Because the poor got what? The knives in their back. That's right. What they do. So you can't, if you operate up under the social and you don't protect yourself and you don't learn that it's not social security, it's social insecurity. And if you don't learn how to become a trustee and get your social security number under control, well, what? Everybody ain't making money off of it, but you, man, make some money off that social. All right. Okay. Put it in its proper place. So when you open up a private trust, the social ain't dictating everything. All right. Just go to the bank with a trust. We have to help you create one. All right. So you go to the bank and you open up your account. Okay. And then you have an EIN, and your EIN is what dictates the tax process, not your social, because your social, you just go right in. Because this is where y'all operating right now. You just out here, all right, just totally exposed. Okay, the social that they got all that money in that you help create with this fictional person is not benefiting you. Why? Because you're not free. But listen, you're a child of God. You're supposed to be free. When they asked Jesus about, man, what about your boys? They paying taxes? He said, man, listen. He said, my boys are free. All right. He said the children are free. He said, nevertheless, I won't offend nobody. He said, run on down to the river and get a coin out the fish's mouth and go ahead on and pay them so that they'll back up off us and smell the coffee. So what was Jesus saying? He's saying, go to the fish's mouth because the word fish means posterity, and posterity means forever money. So Jesus said, go to your forever money and pay your taxes with that. So how do you pay your taxes if you want to be free? You go to your forever money. How do you create some forever money? By writing everything off. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So let's say that you got $100,000 that you earn for a year. And let's say that you say, you know what, my taxes ain't number 25,000, Rick. I'm like, cool. Okay. So you write off 25. You got so many write-offs because everything's coming out your trust until you got money left over. So you're like, okay, what happened with these extra write-offs? Well, if you was doing that on a regular 1040 form instead of 1041, like what we do, if you was doing it on a regular 1040 form, it'd be like, you know what? You just got extra write-offs. And so what? Ain't nothing you can do about that. So that's just a whole bunch of money that's not going to anybody. It's just sitting there laying dormant. Not when you're free. Not when you're free. No, 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 no. When you're free, that the money that's over what it was for you to write off, to lower your taxes down to zero, all of that money is a tax credit. And it goes on your tax return up here on the right side where they got this plus sign on your tax return. It goes as a tax credit. That means that if you ever have another tax issue in the years going forward, you can pay it with them tax credits, or you can simply sell your tax credits to what? People who got tax problems. People do it all the time. All right. This is all 100% IRS approved. You ain't skating, running, trying to be nickel slick, none of that stuff. All right. The IRS is this, they do business this way. Okay. They used to doing business this way. And we have several examples of people who have been living like this for years. Okay. So that's one thing. That's when you get your private trust. Now let's move back over on the other side and let's talk about getting your status just totally changed on top of that. All right. That's really great right there. That's phenomenal right there. You can live like that for the rest of your life and pay and eliminate and knock your taxes off. Why? Because you're using your posterity to knock them off, because you're getting a write-off for everything, because you don't own stuff, you just control it. All right. Your trust control everything. All right. So that means you get a write-off for every single thing that goes inside of the trust, because everything is going in the trust name. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That reduces your taxes, can eliminate your taxes, and can give you tax credits too that you can even sell if you want to. And that's great news by itself. But now let's go back. You said, Brother Rick, I want to be the trustee on my social period. I like that trust thing, and I like being able to lower my taxes down or eliminate them. And I like that tax credit thing too. I really like that. Okay. But how can I get where I'm a whole person, where they're not treating me like a fictional character? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. In other words, can you get them what? So this is what happens. We file on your behalf all the paperwork that's necessary for you to become free from being a straw person. All right, because we know how to do it. Okay, so now you got your freedom. So now you say, Ricky, I want to get. How do I, start reducing my taxes now that I got my freedom? Okay, now you can go up to your employer and you can fill out what's called a W-8 bin. All right, a W-8 bin. But you have to be free first to be able to fill this out and give it to your employer. You say, why? Because you are currently a citizen of the United States. If you're here in the United States and you haven't gotten your status changed, you are currently a citizen. And you're like, man, this is the home of the brave, oh land of the free and the home of the. That's because you don't even understand what it means to be a citizen of the United States. What you want to become is an American. You don't want to be no citizen of the United States, because the United States is in Washington, D.C., and they're a company, a corporation. And to be a citizen of them, meaning that what? They got the knives in your back. You ain't got no freedom being no citizen. But people think so. They got this patriotic idea of a corporation posing as a company. I mean, posing as a country. Now there is a country, all right, and the country is us, the people, we the people. But don't be country. When I say country, I'm talking about don't be so naive thinking that the United States that's in Washington D.C., the people that's been performing over there in Washington D.C., that they doing things on your best interest, because they just part of the Vatican, they just part of the Queen of England, and everybody that take the bar. 98% of my lawyers, and they all had to pass the bar with the British accreditation, British accreditation registry. All right, meaning what? They all had to take an oath with the Queen to even operate in America. So that's English. That's English control over people here in America, physically in America, but doing the work of people who run a game and run their plays from Rome and run their plays from England, and they got nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. Why? But listen to me. You can't be free and ignorant at the same time. You have to educate yourself. All right. That's why I told you, read, control everything, own nothing, get some education. All right. That's why it would behoove you to be in our financial IQ challenge, where we really break it down like a fraction. All right. That's at myfinancialiqchallenge.com, myfinancialiqchallenge.com. That's where you learn some of these liberties that we teach you. Okay. So once you get your freedom, all right, because we can show you how to do that. Okay. And it's a process that you can get done before the year is even over with. All right. So let's say that you got your freedom now, and now you're a real person. So now you can walk up to your employer and say, man, I'm a real person. I'm not that fictional person no more. All right. So don't take no more taxes out of my check. All right. Not a dollar out of my check. Not 15 cents out of my check. Are you hearing me? We got people who they were taking $500 a week out their check. Now they get their whole check. I'm talking about examples of folks. All right. We get their whole check back. What? But we fix their status first. Okay. So when you hear people say this, they're talking about, okay, go get you a W-8 bin and go to your employer. You have to get your status fixed first. You don't just run up on your employer and being a citizen of the United States, talking about you don't want him taking no taxes out your check because they're gonna laugh you out the joint. All right, why? Because you still got them knives in your back. But they be like, hey man, walking up in here with that knife presentation. Take that knife out your back first, and then they don't have no choice. Okay, listen, get control. See, when you get control over things in a marketplace, people don't treat you right because they got to, just because they just being nice. Are you hearing me? They treat you right because they don't have a choice. And the way that you want to operate in the marketplace is being free. In order for you to be free, you put yourself in a position where you cannot lose. You don't put yourself in a position where people have a choice. Because when people got a choice, they're going to do what? They're going to choose what's in their best interest. They ain't going to choose what's in your best interest. All right. So that's what I love about, the whole marketing business, the whole business. You can become so good at things until you got control. It's just like doing presentations. I told you about people who do presentations. Amateurs, they do presentations and until they trying to get it right. But professionals do presentations until they can't get it wrong. So once you become free, you can't get it wrong. Why? Because you got a different status and you got the knives totally out your back. Malcolm X said, man, how you can put a knife 8 inches in my back and then take it out 4 inches and tell me that's progress? All right. You're like, I need the knife all the way out my back. So that's what happens when you become free. You get the knife all the way out your back. You'll be able to fill out a W-8 bin, take it to your HR department, and they have to give you your entire check without taking no taxes out your check. Can you imagine that? Imagine making $100,000 a year for the next 10 years and $25,000 a year that they used to take from you. You keep it and put it in your pocket and invest that money. And imagine taking $25,000 a year and putting it in and just making 10% on your money. You would have put up $250,000 at 10%. Well, come on, just a little modest return and compounded interest over that period of time. And you got what, close to $1 million? Are you hearing me? I'm talking about you get free and you can make yourself a millionaire over relatively short periods of time just because you got more money to work with instead of them taking your money. And you say, well, Ricky, well, if I make $100,000 and now I'm getting all my money, then I might have a tax problem at the end of the year. Not if you got a private trust, you won't. Why? Because you'll be operating everything out of your trust. So you can get your status free, keep your whole check, and then you can start operating out of a private trust so that you can write off everything you do. All right. It's stuff you was going to pay for anyway, but you paying for it publicly, you ain't paying for it privately. So you can't write it off. All right. So those are the two remedies to that knife that's in your back. Okay. You got any other questions? And you want to learn further what it is that we do? Come to the Financial IQ Challenge at myfinancialiqchallenge.com. That's myfinancialiqchallenge.com. You say, Brother Ricky, can I just call you, man? I love what you're saying. Can I just have 10 minutes of your time? It's $50,000 an hour for an appointment. Okay. And so that's fine. If you maybe you're making, whatever you're earning, and it would behoove you to have a personal appointment to speed up your process. That's fine. We can do that. However, if that's not the case, and you just want to get to know us, then that's what we prefer. I really don't want the personal appointments. I really just prefer that you come to the challenge. And unless you got some type of serious emergency and you want to pay that kind of money, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine with me. That's cool. But what I would rather that you do is come and get educated. Because why? In a week, you'll know so much more about money than you know right now until you be able to help your family and your kids' and your kids' kids. This is an international movement that we're doing. All right. I want everybody looking for a woman named Anna Von Reitz. Anna Von Reitz. Look her up. Just go to AnnaVonReitz.com and watch this incredible woman who used to be the Pope's secretary. All right. And she will put some serious fat on your head about this whole Social Security system, about this whole thing about how your mother turned you over when you was a child and you didn't know nothing about it. Don't just take my word for it. Look, this woman used to be the Pope's secretary. Okay. And don't get no deeper than that. Are you hear what I'm saying? And she talks every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, and it's open to you, the public, the general person. This stuff is not happening behind closed doors no more. Are you hearing me? Everybody ain't doing it to you while you got your back turned. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? If you could snap out of what you did not know, and we're going to continue to educate you on what's happening, and then we actually have the tools that you can use to be able to do something about it. All right, it's been a fun, pleasing pleasure, as well as a privilege. I love you all. I want to make sure that you do something about your life and make sure that you don't allow them to keep those knives in your back. It's time for you to come out and get your freedom. It's time for you to be able to keep your own money. It's time for you to be able to operate out of trust so that you can have control over what's going on and your life won't be dictated to you. And then, more importantly, you can pass that information to your kids, and then you can have trust babies. Okay. And everybody can come and you can teach them as soon as possible how to be free from being a straw person, being a fictitious person. You can teach them that as soon as possible because you'll have the tools. And then you can teach them as soon as possible how to operate out of trust like you do, and how all of these super duper rich folk behave and how they operate. That can be me and that can be you. All right. Have a beautiful day. Like I said before, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about that. And remember that stellar is as stellar does. Have an awesome day and get them knives out your back. All right. I'll see you at the challenge.